Amen and amen. All right, good morning again. How is everyone? We are actually, this is the last in the Soul of CUT series. And so I just want to take a moment to thank you for doing what was asked of you. At the start of this series, I asked you to do two things. I asked you to bathe this ministry and bathe this series in prayer. I believe that we have been committed to that and intentional about that. And so I want to say thank you. God bless you for that. Give yourself a round of applause. The other thing that I asked us to do as a community was to given the perspective with which we approach life, we are Christian metaphysicians, is that right? And so we have a different way of seeing things, yes? And what I asked us to do was to make a commitment to face the facts and hold the truth. And it takes courage to do that, yes? It takes courage for us as a community. It takes courage for me as a leader to lay it out. It takes courage to process through it, and we've done that, yes? And so I want you to give yourself a round of applause for that. Good job. Good job. Before we get into the heart of the lesson, just know I'm not going to do that. Yes, I am going to do that. You should listen to the whispering of the still small voice. You should do as directed. It'll guide you in the right way. Let's together take our mission, our vision, our purpose, and our identity statements, the statements for the leader. Let's take those together. Our mission, we teach people how to live better lives through the renewing of their minds. Yes, our vision, to build the individual, to rebuild the institution, to expand the reach of our better living message. Our purpose, to teach and spread the universal principles of truth as taught and demonstrated by Jesus Christ. Our identity statement, where the love of Christ prevails and the principles of Christ are proclaimed. Thank you. Thank you. And so then, this really kind of gives us the roadmap of who we are, what we're supposed to be doing, and why God has uniquely and specifically crafted this ministry for that work. Right? As I've said to you before, there are tons of people everywhere, and not everything works for everybody. And so God has seen fit to place this idea of a better living ministry and message in the soul of our founder. Our founder nurtured and gave a way to this idea, and the idea that was expressed through the Reverend Dr. Johnny Coleman has literally impacted the lives of millions. Yes? And we are among that number, yes? And so, as we move forward, let's just take a look at what it is we're trying to achieve. Like, why week after week after week after week, or day after day after day after day, why do we keep at it? Or as I heard my teacher say, what's it all about, Alfie? What's it all about? The first thing that it's about is transformation. Say transformation. See, what we want to help you do is we want to help you expand your awareness, expand your consciousness. We want to help you unpack your greatness. We want to help you use what God has placed within you so that you can design and grow the best version of yourself, and so that you can live your best life. Anybody here interested in living your best life? Anybody here know that there is some room to improve? Your life is good, right? God is good. But if you know there's another level or another space or another step for you that can help take you from good to better or best, let me hear you make some noise. That's what I'm talking about, right? So transformation is a part of what we do so that you can move from where you are to where you are designed and destined to be. It is God's will that you live a better life. It's God's will that you live your best life. What God wants for you is a life that works for you in every area of expression. That's God's will for you. That you have a life that works, that makes you happy, where there is health just abounding and love everywhere you look, and the money to do what you want to do when you want to do it. Am I right about it? And so part of our work as a ministry is to help you do that. See, 100 million Americans are dissatisfied with their life. That's nearly a third of the people in this country. And my prayer is that given the teaching that we have been exposed to, none of us are in that number. So you're here for a purpose, and that purpose is to unpack the greatness that has been placed in your soul. I like the way Og Mandino says this. He says, if I'm here for a purpose, that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not shrink into a grain of sand. And so if we're going to grow into mountains, we must be committed to working on ourselves. Yes? I can hear the founder saying it works if you work it. And so part of our commitment to you in your transformation is for us to be what I like to call a full service ministry. What do I mean by that? I mean, not only do we intend to meet your spiritual needs, it's our intention to also meet your physical needs, your emotional needs, your intellectual needs, and your social needs. So if you don't have anything anyplace else, you can come right here and get it all. And so our aim is to intend to minister to you as a threefold being, spirit, soul, body. How many of you know what it means to be spirit, soul, and body? That was not very encouraging at all. Not for a ministry going into its 63rd anniversary. That was largely underwhelming. So quick quiz. This is a teaching ministry, and every now and again in classroom there is a quiz. We are threefold beings. We are. Well, why y'all acting funny? Just talk to me. Talk to me. We're threefold being with spirit, soul, body. Don't make me come out myself. Like James Brown said in James, y'all ain't gonna make me come out myself. Stay focused, Rev. We're threefold beings. We're spirit, soul, body. The spirit of us is the God-like part of us. It is that part of which we say we're made in the image and after the likeness of God. The soul is the thinking part of us. It is the part where most of our work is done. Most of your work, repeat after me, most of my work is at the soul level. The challenge for many of us as practicing Christian metaphysicians is that we're not trying to fix it at the soul level. We're trying to fix it at the appearance level. We're trying to get the outer thing right, and it's not getting the outer thing right. It's getting the awareness right, because if you have the awareness, the thing must show up. That's the law. Are you with me? And so then the process of transformation is to help you begin to change the way you look at things, because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. If you change how you see it, or you change how you think, or you change the decisions you're making, or you change your choices, you change your emotional state. If you change those things, the outer things can't help but change and follow suit. So if you come here, come planning to get better. Come open and receptive to receive what God has for you through whatever or whoever the channel is. God is working through all of us. And when someone presents a part of themselves that is disconnected from the reality of God, I want to challenge you to ignore that demonstration. So our work is to transform. How do we help you facilitate that transformation? There are some basic truth principles that we work with as a part of facilitating that transformation. The teaching of this ministry is founded through these principles. It's the same principles of which we spoke when we just said Jesus used them. So the first principle that we want to make sure you have an understanding and usage of is the first principle is what? So I'm not opposed to wrapping up service and starting registration right now. I'm not opposed to that. I know all of you didn't come for that, but I'm not opposed to wrapping up service and we just have registration for class. So the first basic truth principle is the principle of the omnipresence of God. Yes? The first basic truth principle is the principle of the omnipresence of God. And so consciousness is the degree to which we are aware of God and the degree to which we think and feel God. So hear me, put this in your notes. The more consistently you think and feel God, the more consistently your life and your mind and your soul will be transformed so that you can express the goodness of God. That is the power of the omnipresence of God. Let me say it to you this way. The more consistently you can see God expressing through someone that you don't believe there is any God in them, the more you can remind yourself that God is all there is. The more consistently you can look at an empty pocketbook or a body that appears to be in need of health, the more consistently you can identify the presence of God in that, the more consistently the healing activity of God must express through what you see. But it works. If I do not work it, come on, talk to me. That's right. You're right. If I work it, it's got to work. If I don't work it, then that's right. So the first truth principle that we use to help transform our soul consciousness is the omnipresence of God. The second truth principle is the divinity of man. Yes, there you go. You got it. Now you're in the flow. So let me say something to you that you may have never heard. Point to yourself, I am God's greatest creation. Repeat after me. I am God's most wonderful idea. When we talk about the divinity within you, it is intended to bring us back to the awareness of how God made us. We are made in the image after the likeness of God. God is spirit, and so we are spiritual beings. The same as God. Now, sometimes that can be difficult to accept because some of the stuff you say and do don't seem like there's no God in it. Are you with me? But the key is for you to continue to remind yourself about this truth, to bring yourself back to this simple point. I am God's greatest creation. I am God's most wonderful idea. Are you with me? Divinity of man. The next tool or principle that you have in order to transform your consciousness is the value and power of thought. There is a substructure to the soul. We say that it is comprised of the superconscious phase of mind, the conscious phase of mind, and the subconscious phase of mind. And so it is in our ability to not only understand, but work with the substructure of the mind that we are creating our lives. To the degree that I let the mind of God influence my mind, that is the degree to which God expresses in my life. The scripture says it this way: trust the Lord with all of your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. Why should I go it alone if God will direct my path? Why try it on my own if I can have God direct my path? And the only thing I have to do is open myself up to acknowledging the presence of God to speak into my soul. Sometimes you just want to slow down and say, "Speak, Lord, your child hears." Sometimes before you go off, just say, "Speak, Lord." Sometimes before you go in, just say, "Speak, Lord." Can I have a true confession moment? In my other life, had this gentleman steal some stuff from me. And back then, the way I knew how to fix stuff was direct confrontation. And so I was getting ready to go and do what I only knew how to do. See, you can only do what you know how to do. And as I'm about to leave from my bedroom, or as I should say, as I was about to leave from my room that was in my mama's house. How you a thug in somebody else's house? That just ain't right. But as I was about to leave and go and handle it, as I was about to go thugging, before I could get to my bedroom door, right by the door was a chair and a table, and on this table was the Bible that they gave me as I was coming out of county jail, and a daily inspiration. And just taking a moment, something said, "Stop and read." And just taking a moment, Sean, to just stop and read. It gave me the ability to, in that moment, recalibrate myself. And in recalibrating myself, I no longer felt the need to try and handle it the way I was going to try and handle it before. And then I learned in the moment that everything you got that way, you ain't going to be able to keep no how. And so then I had the power to just let it go. But it was a change in my thought. Are you with me? The next principle that we use to transform ourselves is the principle of practicing the presence. In the moment, what I was able to do was find a way to quickly practice. And I hadn't been here that long. Are you with me? And we say we practice through prayer, meditation, and sitting in the silence. The last tool that you have, the last principle that we have, that we use to transform our consciousness, to transform our awareness, is the law of demonstration. And we say under the law of demonstration, there are 5 right approaches that give us the ability to manifest the good desires of our heart. Those approaches are right thinking, right feeling, right words, right actions, and right reactions. There you go, you own it. You rolling now. I just had to get you up to speed. You own it now. And so if we will work it without even noticing it, we will be transformed. And see, sometimes we miss it because we're looking for the big things. Like sometimes we miss it because we're looking for the 8-figure check. And we miss that we don't get as angry as we used to. That's transformation. Are you with me? The next thing that we are working to achieve is love. The next thing we're working to achieve as a community is love. We say that love is the idea in divine mind of universal oneness. It's love that attracts. It's love that magnetizes. It's love that harmonizes. It's love that binds. I firmly believe that as a community, as we are turned on in love, folks driving by on 119th Street or driving down or up I-57 feel something when they passed here and feel some sort of attraction irrespective of what they think about us. Because we are on fire in love. Are you with me? Rick Warren said there are 4 things that primarily keep a church from growing and being healthy. He said the first one is bad or poor preaching. I don't know why y'all looking at me. But it does remind me of a wonderful story about this preacher at this one church, nowhere near here, who at the end of a long, dry sermon said to the congregation, I want to meet with the board after service. So service was over and the pastor was in his office and the stranger came to the meeting. He said, I'm here for the meeting. He said, no, sir. This meeting is for the church board. And the gentleman says, well, if there's someone more bored than I am, I want to meet him. So bad preaching is a problem. But the other three things are when a church appears to be overly concerned with the money of the people, right? Like, I don't want anybody counting my money, and I try not to count anybody else's money. I understand my responsibility to my spiritual community based upon what I've been taught, and I try to share with you your responsibility to your spiritual community, but I don't beg nobody for nothing. That's just not my bag. I have a tough enough time just asking, period. Not a great asker. I'm just talking about me. I'm still in the confession mode from earlier. I'm still inside the booth. I didn't come out yet. Still in there. The next thing is youth programs that don't meet the needs. Things that keep a church from maximizing its health and its growth. And the final thing that he identifies as the piece that prevents a church from growing is when the community is unwelcoming. Now here is let's face the facts and hold the truth. We are a loving, high-touch community. We are. Like we all in. But is it just with those of us we know? That's it. You don't have to answer, it's just a question. Right? Is it just with those of us we know? Right? Because here is what we also know. For many people, the only touch, the only affirmation, the only hug that they will receive all week is the one they get right here. Right? So most people, Annie, are not open and receptive. I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in terms of what they expect. So if there is someone you see here, whether it's a familiar face or an unfamiliar face, I want to encourage you to shower that person with love. Just release it from yourself. Just let it go. Just release the love that you have in you. Just let it go. Just release it. Just smile. Just smile. Right? Regardless of what they have on, just smile. Hey, baby. Right? Sometimes what you have to do is just bless a person's soul until they know how to do better. Oh, just bless your soul. And don't say that to them now. Right? Just bless your soul till you know how to do better. Right? But we want this community to be charged with love. When someone walks out of this place, they ought to be able to say, that's the most loving place I've been in. That's the most loving place I've been in. And I know we know how to do it because we do it with one another. I was someplace yesterday and you could see the folks. You could see our folks because we just loving on one another in an amazing way. And can I say something to you candidly? There were tables where there were people present who weren't our people. And when our folks were interacting and loving on one another, I could kind of sense, we all have the ability to sense what's happening. There were folks like, yeah, I want some of that. Right? They didn't know how to ask for it, but there were people right there like I'm sitting right next to him, hug me too. People want love. And so here's the thing. whether it's a legacy member or someone we attract or someone we target, here is one of the things we know all of them have in common. They all have an inclination to be loved. Right? They all want to be accepted. And nothing says, I accept you, like a hug. They all want to be accepted. They all want to be loved. So when they show up, just love on them. Just love on them. Are you with me? The last piece of what we want to accomplish is to, again, bathe this spiritual community in prayer. To make sure that every aspect of this ministry is bathed in prayer. Like well, maybe not like my son used to do it when he was younger. We tell him to get in the bath and we look under the door and we can see his feet by the door. He's supposed to be in the tub. I don't mean like that. I mean in the way that when you put yourself in the tub, all parts of you get wet. Right? Like, we all know what I mean by bathed, right? That is a part of the health and growth plan for this ministry. To bathe this ministry and the people who are a part of it and the people who are connected to the people who are a part of it, to bathe it all in prayer. So prayer is one of the opportunities of fellowship that the community has. And so there are two things that I want to invite us to do as a community. The first is for anniversary month. Generally, the ministerial staff prays in the office at 10 o'clock. For the month of October, for anniversary month, we're going to bring that prayer to the main foyer where the welcome team is. At 10 a.m. every Sunday morning, welcome team prays in the main foyer. Ministerial staff is going to join the welcome team in the foyer, 10 a.m. Sunday morning. And I want to invite you to come take part in that process, where the community has an opportunity to directly come and be a part of that prayer circle and that prayer consciousness prior to service on Sunday mornings. That's the first thing. You with me on that? Yes. You sure? Yes. Some of y'all like, Brad, I don't get here that early. I gathered it. It takes me a little long on the uptake sometimes. Some of you are like, Rev, I don't get here that early. Can I think it in? Y'all pray me in. I got you. The preference is that you be here, but if we have to pray you in, we have to pray you in. For the month, just see if you can make it at 10. Are you with me? The second thing is also beginning in October, beginning on October 1st. As a community, and we're going to extend it to the people you are connected to, we as a community will begin a 40 Days of Grace prayer campaign. In the 40 Days of Grace prayer campaign, you will pray. There'll be some instructions. There'll be some specific words. I'm going to ask you to pray this prayer for yourself. I'm going to ask you to pray the prayer for this spiritual community. If you're watching by stream and you're a part of another spiritual community, I want to encourage you to pray for that spiritual community and then to pray for someone else. So on next week, you'll actually receive your instructions and your bands so that as a community, we can be putting our mental life on that which is important to our soul's development. And the choir sings a song, says, I pray for you. You pray for me. I love you. I need you to survive. Say, I won't harm you with words from my mouth. I love you. I need you to survive. Like, it's difficult to be talking about somebody and pray about them at the same time. And so what we want to do is we want to give ourselves the opportunity to collectively bring our focus together 3 times a day and pray this prayer of grace. And then just watch how God moves. When 2 or more come together, I'm right there in the midst. And so, as a part of the health and the growth and the rebuilding of this ministry, as a part of the health and the growth and the increase and the expansion of you individually, as a part of the opportunity to spread the good news, we're going to get after it together. Is that all right? And so I'm gonna close right here. When I was in the Navy, there was this unit, CB unit, and the CBs are responsible for the construction. So if there is, if the unit is going in, or if there is, there needs to be some infrastructure put into place, the CBs are one of the first groups that go in. And what the CBs do is they begin to build out the work site in preparation for those who are coming. And it's a construction unit, Stephen. What the CBs also do from time to time is if the heavy machinery hasn't arrived yet, they might have to do the digging by hand. And so it's the story of a troop all being given shovels. And every man and woman had to dig out a 6-foot by 10-foot space. And so they're just digging. By the time it was noon, they started first thing in the morning. By the time it was noon, closer to 1 o'clock, they could only barely see the head of the person who was digging the hole next to them. By 4 o'clock, they were down in the hole and like kind of feeling a little isolated. By 6 o'clock, their hole was dug, but now they really felt like they were in it all by themselves. But shortly after the 6 o'clock hour, the person who was digging the spot next to them, it opened up. And so not only could I see my hole, but I could see the hole of the person who was digging next to me. And I could see clear to the person who was digging next to her. And we could see to the person who was digging on the other side of him. And so if we all either bring our brick or bring our shovel or bring our talent or bring our gift or bring our tithe or bring our propensity to prayer or bring our skill, Like, however God has gifted you, however God intends to use you in the service of this ministry, I want to encourage you to just get busy digging. Because here is what we know. The person next to you is working too. And the person next to them is working. And the person next to them is working. And as we all keep at it, we can't help but see God working through all of us to accomplish what we've set out to achieve. God bless you.